Hello everybody, it's Robbie here, and I just wanted to come to you today with a review and a demonstration of Dreambox Learning. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about Dreambox Learning is because it's been one of the supplemental resources that we use both during the school year and during the summer. If there's a situation where I need to be occupied with something and I can't do the one-on-one instruction that I normally do, I'll have him come do Dreambox for his math. And Dreambox is a very unique product in that it shows students how to do math using tools. And so it's very concrete in the way it teaches math, which is the way we actually teach math one-on-one here in our homeschool. So we use a Montessori-based homeschool curriculum called Schiller Learning. And so when I found out about this and I saw a demonstration of it, I thought this would be a perfect complement to what we use for the personal instruction. And so I also use this with him, which my student, if you didn't know, I'm sorry, is going into 4th grade. He's 9. He's going to be 10 in September, and he's going into 4th grade. But because he's an older student, he's kind of ahead in some areas. He'll see that in here in just a minute. He's actually ahead in math, but for all intents and purposes, he's going into 4th grade. And Dreambox Learning actually covers K through 8, I believe. There's 3 environments. There's K through 2, a 3 through 5 environment, and a 6 through 8 environment. And he's in the 3 through 5 environment. It's way more gamey and way more fun. It will not stop him from progressing past the 5th grade level. It will continue to progress him as far as he needs to go, as long as they have content up through 8th grade. But the environment is more gamey and more fun, and he absolutely loves it. He gets to earn badges and games and rewards and all kinds of stuff. So that is the environment we are currently using. During the summer, we use this to keep the summer slide from happening. And in the beginning, I'd have to say when he was younger, it wasn't as much of an instructional tool as it was just a reinforcement tool. And we were okay with that. But as time went on and he got more used to it, I found that not only was it a reinforcement tool, but it was very much an instructional tool. And especially in geometry, for some reason, he really was engaged with the way they teach geometry, and he's managed to get an amazing grasp of geometry at a very young age, and has actually completed through 5th grade in their geometry. In fact, I don't think they're putting any geometry lessons in there right now, which is another interesting fact about this program. It's adaptive. So let's say you're using this as a supplement. There is a placement test at the beginning, so they know where to place your student. They will evaluate them on all the different math concepts, and then place them wherever they need to go. And for that particular topic, they will then give them lessons that are appropriate to that level. So let me give you an example of what the data looks like. So they also have 40% off a year subscription, which is normally $99. So if you get 40% off, you'll get it for $60, which is extremely reasonable in my opinion for this. It's very, very well done. Okay. So now I've logged in as a student, and so it then they have to pick a password image. So somebody can't just log into their account and use it, I guess. So in his case, he's this one. So he logs in, and then he's got all of these different categories of problems that he can choose to do. So it's very interest-led. You can actually assign lessons to the student through the back end, and I've honestly never done that, but you can do it. If I can figure out how to do it, I'll show you how. I don't know if I can't, but then they get to basically pick whichever category they want to work in. And this is how he was able to get so far ahead in geometry, because he kept doing the geometry over and over and over again. If they get through the lesson without a significant number of errors, they're going to win a game. And so then they'll get to actually play a game as a reward. And he loves the little mini games he gets. And then also, he's got a bunch of rewards that he's earned. Yeah, that's kind of loud. I'm going to turn that down. Oh, it went off. So he can customize a number of different things depending upon what he's earned. So he's earned badges, he's got collections. Let's see if it stops. Oh my. Let's just mute that. Okay. So let me make sure it's not muting me. No, it's not. Okay, so this is one of the games he's earned, and he's earned all of these too. And then he's got some things he can personalize, and he can choose his avatar. He's got money that he's earned here that he can use to buy things, like he can buy different avatars. He wanted this pie avatar with the crown on it. Go figure. I don't know why, but he did. He paid for that. So anyway, so they've got lots of incentives to keep them motivated. And then as far as the data is concerned, okay, so this, when you log in as a parent, I logged in as a student so you could see what the environment looked like, but now that I'm in here as a parent, this is what the parent, the default screen goes to with the parent page. And once they've done a placement test, the green shows where they've been placed, and the darker green shows where they're proficient, and the darker green with the arrow shows where their growth is happening right now. And so when we first did this, he didn't place all the way in here. We had an account through the Home Buyers Co-op, and they didn't renew the contract this year. So I had to set up a personal account, and then they transferred all of his progress to the new account. So this would not be typical. This might be typical if he took the placement test like now, but this wouldn't be typical for where he placed when he first got in here. So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that, but yeah. Anyway, so if they took the placement test, the light green would be where they place. Certain categories like counting, see, it only goes up through first grade, so there's nothing else in counting. So obviously they're going to complete that. They're not going to get any lessons in that because they've mastered that. For some reason, he doesn't like this he doesn't like this category of comparisons and ordering. So he finally started working on it again because I asked him to, because it was getting so far behind where he had in all the other categories, and it's going fine. But yeah, he's got a little ways to go. This was real recent, this progress here. So place value, they covered it up through second grade, kind of, skipped it for third, and then started up at the fourth grade level for place value. So he's completed that. This is the geometry. As I said, he's gone through the geometry, and there's more, but they're not giving him lessons in that category right at the moment. What I mean by adaptive is, let's say they walk away from this program for a month or two. Let's say they take the summer off. They don't do any math, and they come back in, or let's say you use it during the school year as a supplemental and they haven't used it in a few months, and you want them to pick it back up. Obviously, when they first start, it's going to start them wherever they were at when they left off. It's very quickly going to adapt and then place them ahead. So because the data was transferred over, I can't show you an example of that. Well, I think actually this is an example of that, the place value. He placed up through second grade very easily. They bumped him to fourth. I don't think he skipped a third grade level. I think they bumped him to fourth. There were other areas in here where there were gaps, where you could see that they very quickly figured out that he was past that point, and it bumped him. And because they transferred the data, it doesn't show where they bumped him. So I can't show you an example of that. But it will do that. It's really cool because, it's frustrating when you've been using a program for a while and you have to step away, and then they advance to the point where they come back and they have to either redo a placement test because everything's too easy, or they are kind of stuck doing levels that are beneath their abilities. And so this is a really cool program in that it won't do that. Okay, so, and I wanted to show this because this is kind of rare that this actually happens. He had some issues with some of the recent lessons. So you see here it says he was not proficient in 3 of the last 5 completed lessons. And so it gives an exclamation point. So I can come down here and it'll show where he had struggles. He was proficient here, he's still working on this one, but he started having trouble here. So now it'll give me, as the parent, a demo of the lesson. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to take it off mute. Play this so you can see not only an example of the lesson, but what you get to see as the parent.
Calculate this product to help you solve the problem.
Okay, so basically they're trying to show that if you're multiplying 5.1 times 2, it can be easier to work it as an array. So if you multiply 2 times 0.01, you'll get the area of this section here, and if you multiply 5 times 2, you'll get the area of this section here. You can do it the traditional way, or you can do it this way, and they're showing you this way at the moment. So 2 times 0.1 is 0.2. And then 5 times 2 is 10. And now it'll give you a chance to add those two together and come up with the answer.
Use the partial product.
So this allows me to sit with him and show him how to do it so he can get some practice on it, and then once he gets it, he goes back in and logs in and then does his own. This, when you play with it in this environment and under the parent side, you're not actually going to affect their progress. So you can play with this as many times as you need to, or have the student play with it as many times as they need to understand it, and then they can go back and practice it. Because and this is the other thing that makes it adaptive, let's say he was in his learning environment and he was doing this and he missed an answer. Let's say I put, 9 instead of, oops, try again. Okay, so
You're using the correct digits, but their place values are incorrect.
Okay, so then I'll get another chance to do it. And it might actually give me an extra problem or two to work on to make sure that I mastered it before it'll actually let me complete the lesson. This can get frustrating if a student is struggling, because if they get a wrong answer, it may add another problem in. And, there have been a few times here and there where he's struggled quite a bit, and then it extends the lesson quite a bit just to make sure that they've got it. But that's not really a bad thing. It gives them the practice they need, and it doesn't allow them to move forward until they have mastered the concept. So it's, like I said, very adaptive. And then it'll give me a chance to put in the full answer. There we go. And when they get them right, you'll see it jumps up quite a bit more than if they get something wrong. So I won't continue to do that. I'll go ahead and get out of it. But I did want you to see. And if you're curious about what they're working on, you can actually go in and see any of these. But it is, well, I lied. You can't go into this one because it was mastered. So on the lessons where they're either in progress or they've had some problems, you can actually go in and view the demos. But in the ones where they've mastered it, it's not allowing me to click on those because they don't really need the practice, right? Okay. All right. So at the top here, you've got some options. So this is your overview screen. You can go into activity screen and it'll show the students' activity for the last 30 days. You can click on standards. Now this is cool. You can view the standards based on your state's standards, or if there's a state standard that you want to use that's not yours, you can use whatever you want. So up here at the top, it'll show you he met 10 of 10 in K, 17 of 17 in first grade, 22 of 22 in third grade, 37 of 37 in third grade, 28 of 29 in fourth grade, and he's met 9 of 27 in fifth grade, and we haven't started on any of the 6th grade. Okay, so right now the standards are set to Dreambox learning units. If you want to change it, you can click on there and it shows all of the different standards that you can choose from. So let's say I want to compare his progress to Common Core state standards. Then it's showing me where he's proficient. And I can do that for any of them. South Dakota. And on the overview, it'll do the same thing. So now it's showing the progress based on the South Dakota state standards. And you notice the graph has changed. It's not showing that he's completed through 5th grade with geometry. It's showing he's about halfway through. So depending upon what the state standards are, and it's showing he's completed some 6th grade in ratios and proportions and in the number system. It's actually showing he's completed a little bit of 7th grade based on the state standards. So you have the ability to do that in here. Okay, so I mentioned that I would try to show you how to do an assignment. Let's see if we can figure this out. So if you want to do an assignment, you got to click here on assignments. I think this was a video, but for some reason it's not showing anything. So let's just see if we can figure this out. Add assignment, assignment duration, keep it a week, grade 5. Let's try expressions and equations. Oh, order of operations. That's something I want him to work on for sure. Okay. Looks like it's going to be this week, due on the 10th. And yeah. Am I done? How do I add assignment? Alright. So now it should show me when he starts to do this and whether or not he completed it and whether or not he showed understanding. Sweet. And then if you want to just kind of play with it, and this is actually what sold me on this thing. A friend of mine had told me about it, a former teacher, and she said that she'd heard this was fantastic. So I come in here and I decide I want to look at the 3 through 5 environment. And so I click in here and it showed me a lesson, and he was in the other room, but he could hear what was going on in here.
Welcome to Dreambox Learning. There's a lot to learn and tons of new stuff to discover.
Okay, so I guess it is 5 lessons that they hope that you get done in a week. So the goal is to do 5 lessons a week, and if you do, you get a star. And then when you get all your stars, you get more stuff. Okay, so I'm trying to remember which lesson it was that I did. Anyway, I can't remember which one. It wasn't one that I can visually that I can recognize here, but it was a lesson on figuring out your multiplication facts by using doubles. So if you know that 6 times 4 is 24, then 12 times 4 would be 24 plus 24, which is 48, right? So it was going through an exercise with these tools to help you figure this out. And I was just messing with this, and I'm going, wow, this is so cool. And so my son comes running in so he could hear the lesson as it was going on. So he comes in, and then he starts like, what are you doing? So then he starts using that method to solve his math facts, which ironically, he was actually in the process of learning them. This was probably a year and a half ago. And he got it so quickly that he still to this day, to figure out larger math facts, he'll use that trick from that one little demo lesson. Anyway, this has been a really valuable asset to our homeschool. So I hope that you found this helpful and interesting. And I don't know if you're looking for a supplemental or something that can kind of keep them engaged for those days when you need a little extra help, or if you want even a standalone math program. For some kids, this works as a standalone math program. Also, it's a great way to just evaluate a student and figure out where they're at, and then just maybe pull in math lessons that correlate with what they're learning in here to give them a little extra practice. You could use this as a spine, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So whether you use it as a supplemental or as a core or as a spine, I really think it's a valuable program, and we've really enjoyed it. And definitely take advantage of that 40% off, because this puts it about where it was when it was with the Homeschool Buyers Co-op. The Homeschool Buyers Co-op basically set this up as a school. And so they were then selling licenses to individuals at a reduced rate because they had multiple licenses to sell. But when they decided not to renew, we then couldn't renew through Home Buyers Co-op. We had to set up a whole new account. So by doing this as an individual account, you won't have to go through that mess, and you still get it for basically the same price. So definitely take advantage of that if you're interested. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to try to answer whatever I can. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to my channel today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon.